Over the past year plus, I've often warned South Africans about scamsters, con artists, flim-flam men, people trying to defraud you of your money and or your identity. And they're at it all the time. Now, I've previously talked about the following, but it seems warranted to give folks another warning since YouTube keeps hiding my videos when I'm trying to do a public service. Shame on them. But it's important to let South Africans know, number one, that just because you start getting phone calls and you start getting messages, whether you're in South Africa waiting to leave or in America having recently arrived, don't presume that that's because you've applied for the refugee program or you were at Woodmead on the 16th December. No data was compromised at Woodmead on the 16th December except the passport of an American diplomat. That's the only data that was compromised by a corrupt Department of Home Affairs official. You are getting those because people harvest phone numbers. They also harvest data from Google. They buy data from data brokers all the time. That's why you're getting called. It's just coincidental that you happen to be a refugee. If you're an American, you get a phone call. Now, the reason for this video is that a viewer sent me voice notes, not quite frantic, but maybe a little frantic, worried because she had received a phone call from the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency telling her that she had her passport misused by someone from Scotland. First off, that's implausible. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. He didn't know that she's actually from South Africa, so he was fishing. Be careful. People are fishing for answers, fishing for information, and they'll pounce on the information that you share with them when you talk. These people are looking for the innocent, the naive, the gullible, and they'll defraud you. They'll steal your identity. They'll steal the money in your bank account. They'll also put out false claims against your property, like, claim that your truck with that license plate is theirs to cause all sorts of issues. So if you receive a phone call from Immigration Customs Enforcement, first off, that's nonsense. ICE doesn't call you up and go, hello, we want to report identity theft. First off, ICE doesn't deal with identity theft. That's not their mission. Second, ICE doesn't deal with people entering the country illegally. USCIS does that. ICE deals with them once they're here. So why would ICE contact you about someone else using your passport and your identity? It makes no sense whatsoever. That should be your first red flag. The second red flag is that ICE doesn't call anybody. If ICE is looking for you, you'll hear the following. And if you don't answer the door might be broken into. ICE doesn't call you. ICE comes for you. Big difference. And only come for you if you're illegally here. You violated your visa, or you entered the country illegally and they become aware of you, or you have a final deportation order against you. Refugees are legal residents of America. If someone calls you from a number and you answer it and they proclaim they're from ICE, you can tell them the following, and they'll learn Afrikaans. Futsek. Goodbye. Get rid of them. If they continue to call you, block the number so they can't call you. You should immediately report any contact with a fraudster like this to local law enforcement. Now, my viewer called the local police and they told her to call ICE. Now, I wasn't in the conversation, so I'm going to presume the reason they said call ICE is they misunderstood. She was asking if that person's from ICE and they were directing her to ICE. But that is a failure on the part of the local police department. They must file a police report. What should have happened when she called is they should have said, what happened? Okay, someone said they're from ICE. Well, you should contact ICE, but in the meantime, give us the information you received from the person so we can file a police report about possible fraud. That's what's supposed to happen. The police should have filed a report at their local police station and then pass it up the chain to the Federal Bureau of Investigation eventually. That's what should happen. This viewer, because I was live broadcasting when she was going through this, contacted the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency and they said, that's a scam. We don't come calling for you. We'll knock on your door. Exactly what I've just said here. And that's what I've warned people about in the past. Be careful. Now, this refugee might have been, well, but why would they call me? It's about immigration. It's about being here. You're not an immigrant. You're not an illegal immigrant. You're a lawful resident of the United States, not a permanent resident until you have a green card, but a lawful resident of the United States under the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1980. We have granted you access to live and work here peacefully. So ICE has no business for you. Now, you might be going, but what about that refugee from Myanmar who was dropped off outside a donut shop and froze to death in Buffalo? Well, that isn't germane. That guy had been arrested for criminal activity and had a warrant on him or something like that, and it has nothing to do with it. ICE went looking for him because he violated the law, or they believe he violated the law. That was resolved, and he was released. And they asked him where he wanted to go, and that's where he told them he wanted to go, so they dropped him off there. And then he walked around and froze to death. That's not an issue that's going to affect South African refugees. No. So ICE is not going to call you. It's fraud. Be very careful and circumspect. This person began saying to the so-called ICE agent, who's a fraudster, well, I don't understand why you're contacting me. I'm a South African refugee. No. Cease and desist. Do not tell anybody that you are a Mamba, that you are a hippopotamus, that you are a South African refugee, that you are an Armenian. Do not disclose anything. These people are fraudsters. Do not give them any information they can then use to try to convince you, especially if you're naive, that they're legitimate. The person began asking about bank accounts, and that should be a red flag too. That should be a red flag. They're asking, ICE has nothing to do with your bank accounts. They don't do that. That's not their responsibility. They don't seize assets. That's done elsewhere. Your property, your address, your name, your legal status, none of the damn business. There's one magic word for people like this. Futsek. Be gone. Again, this is a warning to South African refugees. And in fact, it's a warning to all Americans. I keep getting text messages from some collection agency telling me I owe a debt to T-Mobile. Well, T-Mobile has been my mobile carrier for 2.5 decades plus. I don't owe them anything. And even if I did, they would get it because they do a direct debit from my account every month to pay my bill. Be careful. Fraudsters are out there, and they just multiply with artificial intelligence. Now, it's not even a person sometimes. It's all automated. And soon that automated person on there, if it's an interactive conversation with you, will be as fluent and as quick, without hesitation, and have an answer to you in that conversation, analyzing what you say as if you're talking to a real person. It's just a matter of months if it's not already happening. So you need to be very cautious. No one is entitled to know your legal status in the United States except law enforcement, if they have a basis for asking for it, or an employer who wants to confirm that you're not an illegal alien so they don't get in trouble and be fined for hiring illegals. That's it. You don't need to run around telling people, I'm a refugee, yada, yada. No. You don't tell people where you live. You don't tell people your registration of your vehicle. You don't give them any identity numbers. You don't disclose bank account numbers. ICE is not going to call you. None of you have business with ICE. None of you, if you're a South African refugee, at least not at present. Commit some crimes, lose your status, then ICE will come knock on your door to take you away. Ask South Africans who commit crimes like Mel and Pete. Alligator Alcatraz, now out in California, and she's in Colorado. Folks, be careful out there. Protect your information, protect yourself. You are under no obligation to answer any phone call. None whatsoever. So if you're unsure, just ignore it. Put your phone on silent. Block the number. But if this does happen to you, write down the information on a piece of paper, who they claim to be, where they claim to be from, the phone number they called you from, all that stuff, if they sent you a text message, and then report it to local law enforcement. They have an obligation to file a report. And if they don't want to file a report, tell them you want to file a report. This is fraud. And they'll need to get it to, in this case, we go to the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, but also the FBI. All right? And ICE would probably find out as well. Thanks for your attention to this matter. Cheers.